Hi, I'm Jennifer of Celtic Knot Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to fix your cord if you've come to the end of weaving your knot and you realize, oh no, I have all this extra right here and I don't want to have to start over. And I don't like starting over any of my projects unless I absolutely have to, because I just don't have time for that. So I've come up with a variety of ways to fix something like this. Right now I'm going to show you two different ways. This knot here is for the Killarney hot pad, which will potentially have hot things on it. So I can't use any kind of glue. I'm going to have to stitch my mistake. So the first thing to do is to pin right here where the two ends meet. That way the knot won't come apart. And then you can take out all the other pins. And again, remember, if you've woven it correctly with an under-over alternating pattern, everything should lay flat and be just fine. If a whole loop is popping up and not staying in place, that means one of your crosses is incorrect, and you'll have to go back and figure out where that is. Then I turn it over. Get these out of the way so you can see better. So now this is the wrong side. See all the bumps. And I pull that pin out so that I can pull that too long end through. Just like this. Now I see that to about here, if I look at all the loops, I want to make sure all the sides are even before I fix it. Sometimes you have a lot of extra because one of your loops is bigger than the other. So you want to first adjust that. So I'm thinking right about there. So I have about 1.5 inches too much. I'll use a pin again. And this is why in the other video I had you start with the other end of the cord. So here we're ending with the end where we can take out our last stitch, remove the fastening off knot. I'll turn it so you can see it. And now I can just unravel those stitches that I have too many of. I think I'll do one more. And then I'll cut this excess yarn off. I'll use my hook, and just as I would every other project, I'll yarn over and pull through and knot that off, just like that. And now I have this chain from the beginning, and you can do this a variety of ways. You can try to take out that knot, but that might take me a little long. You can just cut the chain right there. That lets you get at the end even quicker. Now unraveling the chain from this angle isn't as easy as if I was on the other end. So it is a little tedious. I have to pull out each loop backwards like this. And you got to be careful, you don't want to go too far. This pin is caught in there. So now I've taken it out to that last stitch. I think I might have taken it out one too far, but that's okay because it's still knotted there. And now we come back with our yarn needle and these yarn tails, thread on the yarn needle, and join these two ends, and now they match up and we got rid of the excess. This is called a whip stitch. Just go around like that. I know it's the same color, and I go along that edge where the two ends meet, and I flatten it out. And at this stage, if you'd like, you can go along and pin all the crossings in place so your knot doesn't shift as you pick it up and work on sewing it. But then you'll just continue around using the yarn tail, and when you run out of the yarn tail, thread on more yarn. And I just do one whip stitch like this, catching a loop on either cord. And now the end is hidden underneath and it's attached. So this side isn't, but I've attached down this side, and I'll continue across like that, working through loops and then catching a loop on this side and a loop on this side, just like that. And if you wanted to check it when you flip it over, you can see that none of the stitching is showing. That's my other yarn tail I'll weave in later. And now everything matches up perfectly. So that's one way to do it, by sewing the end and correcting it. But there's another way that you can do it. So here is the same knot, but this is for the Celtic knot pin. But if you see, I do have a little bit extra here. Now I could try to adjust the whole knot, and I would make each area just a little bit bigger, and that would probably get rid of this excess. But another way you can do it is with the magic of hot glue. Again, this is not, if I was going to sew this onto a garment, I would have to use the other technique where I'm sewing it. But since this is going to be for a piece of jewelry, I don't need to worry about washing it. I'm just going to take some hot glue, a small amount, and glue down that first end, and then I'm going to take another small amount and press down the other end right next to it. Wait for the glue to fully cool so it's dry. And now that I have secured it with glue right here, I can take my scissors and just cut off the cord. You might have a few random little pieces. You want to make sure you use a small amount of glue. See, here's a piece that comes off. I don't need that anymore. I'm just painting this area with the tiniest bit of hot glue. Once that cools and I flip it over, you never know that the ends originally didn't match up and that I had extra cord. And again, because it's going to be worn as a pin jewelry, I can do that with all the crossings. I can put just a small bit of hot glue. A hot glue gun that has a fine tip is great for these kind of projects. And sometimes if you only anchor a few of the spots on the knot, that's enough to keep the whole knot in place. So I could go through and do these, but I think it's just fine the way it is.